Hi, I'm Gregor Bucher. I'm working at the Georg August University of Göttingen, and as a scientist I have been writing many papers, I've been reviewing papers, and I've been discussing with students on how to best write their thesis on the bachelor, master and PhD level. And I would like to share some thoughts on that. In this tutorial I'd like to focus on the introduction. Research has impact only when it's published. Only then it will increase general knowledge and it will influence how others think about the field. It also opens your data for criticism, and together this will advance science. One should also not forget that this is important for fostering your career. Without publications you don't get research money, without research money you cannot do any research, and without research you won't get a position. So this can be really important. The big question is, what is the best way of presenting scientific data? There are different kinds of publications like posters, oral presentations or books. Large part are publications in scientific journals, and of course for some of you it's important to know how to write thesis, bachelor, master and on the PhD level. They all share a common general structure, which is first we have an introduction, then results, then discussion, and then methods and references. And in this tutorial I would like to focus on the structure of an introduction, and I will restrict this to scientific papers and theses. Much of it will be also true for other scientific publications, but I will focus on this part. And I will show you that the introduction has to present the entire field and the question, and it provides the background. I will also show you that you can view the introduction as a funnel-like structure. Now, what is the best way to structure an introduction? I will say some words on that, taking the introduction that I've just given you as an example. So first, I've introduced the field. It's about how to best publish. And the big open question followed then, what is the best way of presenting scientific data? So this is really a big field and a big open question, and you could make hundreds of video tutorials on that. But I'm doing only one video tutorial answering only one little question out of the big field. It's only the introduction focused on scientific papers and theses. And in between I introduce everything which I think you should know as a background, and I'm coming from general to the specific. So everything the reader needs to know, but not more. And I start with general things like all kinds of scientific publications, and I go to specific, the common core structure, and then I go very specific to only the discussion. In some journals they also want that you give the answer in a nutshell at the end of the introduction. Citations. Citations will of course reflect this. So in this top part you will rather have many reviews, maybe even classic reviews which are decades old. As you go more specific, the reviews will become more specific, more recent, and more data papers. And here in this below part you will probably cite many data papers. Important is you don't cite everything you have ever read and which has ever been published in this field, but you make a wise selection of literature focused on your question and what is needed to know to understand your project. Okay, one example coming from my lab. So I'm working at the intersection of evolution and neuroscience, like the intersection of two really big fields, and the big open question is, how do brains evolve? I could start this introduction by saying how important brains are for the functioning of animals and what is known about their diversity and evolution, and about current concepts with respect to how brains probably evolve. I could then come to insect brains as a model. So this is already a selection of all animals. So I'm coming from broad and general to more specific. And I'm focusing on one part of the insect brain, which is the central complex. I'm focusing on embryonic development, ignoring everything which happens afterwards. And I'm studying only the gene retinal homeobox in that project. This is of course only one gene of dozens that are involved in that process. So my project, my little question is, how do neurons diverge in their development between flies and beetles? And I focus on those neurons that express this one gene. So you see, this is really a very restricted and very specific question, but it will contribute a little answer to this big open question. And the answer in a nutshell is, what we found is that developmental timing can be different between the same neurons in different species. This is an interesting thing. Other students in the lab will do another project, for instance, not focusing on this gene but another gene. So essentially all these above aspects would still be very similar in their introduction. They would just deviate when it comes to describing the respective gene. Other labs are not working on the central complex but on mushroom bodies or other things. They again could kind of have a very similar introduction up to the point where it comes to the central complex, but here they would deviate and have another little question, and all these little questions together will contribute to answering the big one. So, summary. The aim of the introduction is to convince the reader that your little question concerns crucial aspects of the big question in that field. You have to provide all background that readers need to know in order to understand your project, but not more. This is not a review, so you don't review everything which has been done in that field in the past 100 years, but only you cite those works, you present those results that are relevant for your project. You are now the specialist in the topic, so you are the best person to select what publications are important and which ones are less so. And the structure, as you can see here, it's like a funnel going from broad to specific. So I hope that this tutorial helps you in structuring your introduction. And before I stop, I would like to add a fun fact from my university. Because my university was founded as a university of enlightenment in 1737. And the really cool new thing at the time was that this was one of the first universities where scientists did not have to ask the theological faculty for permission when they wanted to publish something. Before, there was really a very strict control of the church on everything which was being published, but the king freed this university from that obligation, and this of course led to a unprecedented liberty of thoughts at the Georg August University. It attracted the finest minds from Germany and also from Europe, and this led to a really excellent scientific environment. Okay, with that I would like to leave you and hope that you have fun writing your introduction.